Hi there. I just wanted to go over this video because I had some opinions that I wanted out there. So yeah, I'm probably not going to cut this. Just leave it out. I don't know. I might cut it up. I don't know. I'm very bad. So just bear with me. I'm very bad at explaining. You're going to hear a lot of ums and yeahs. So I'm not used to this. So just bear with me. This is the first time I've actually disagreed with Lewis, which is kind of interesting because I think a lot like Lewis, but I just wanted to get my opinion out there because I think it's something that some people will find maybe valuable. And you don't have to agree, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, I disagree with you, but I'm not saying you're like 100% wrong, you know what I'm saying? I think that's a problem people have now is that if you don't agree with them, you're all of a sudden not, it's like choosing. I don't know. We need to get better. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, EU votes to mandate removal of batteries on smartphones in a landslide. No more glued together junk. Okay. He goes over in this video a lot of things about how the EU it's passed essentially removable backs again, which sounds good on the surface, but in my opinion can cause a lot more issues. And here's why. So I actually do miss it, so just so you guys know, I'm not like against it because of preference. I would actually prefer it. You know what I mean? I miss my removable backs. I remember getting my S4. That was my first phone, and it had a removable back, and it was great. But there are problems with just changing it, and I think you'll see why. So the first part he talks about is how he has a BlackBerry, and it was awful because of liquid damage. It would just had no protection, and he was going over how you can have a removable battery and still have liquid protection, which is true. He's not wrong. That is really true. However, internal batteries are here because it offers us easier, more cost-saving method of having better water resistance or waterproof. And that's why it's really there. But I'm all for companies having better right to repair. I'm in the right to repair movement, like I want companies to be able to make things more repairable. However, in my opinion, there is a difference between a company making it more repairable and then forcing them to have to change their designs. I'm all about making things more repairable, and there's a difference between a company being an a-hole and then just the way something is designed. Like Apple, for example, how they used the strongest glue for their batteries and they serialize everything. Like, I'm not for that. That needs to be removed. But in my opinion, there's a better way we can still have internal batteries, but make it easy to repair still. Like, we can still have internal batteries. Like, internal batteries aren't bad. They're just bad because companies make them hard to get in and replace them. But it doesn't have to be that way. It can be made easy to replace, but it can still be internal. And that's the point I'm getting to. So here's the problem. Somebody's going to have to pay when they change all their designs, because now they have to stop their manufacturing and figure out a way to design it to where it would still be up to their specs. Somebody has to pay for that, and it ain't going to be the company. It's going to be you, the consumer. The product price will go up because they had to pay for a lot of things, different manufacturing, different parts, all the way up to the design. That's probably going to be where it's at the most. They're going to have to pay somebody to design this. And it's going to be a team. It's not easy designing something waterproof that can just open. Yes, it can be done. He said it can be done, and yes, it can. But who's going to pay for it? And I didn't see this anywhere in here where he's like, I didn't watch the last 2 minutes, so I should probably do that. But I don't think he brings it up because I've been looking at the comments. If he does, I'll put a thing in the comments or something, or editor's note. But there are advantages to having removable batteries, but there's also cons. There's good things about having internal batteries, and also cons. My point is, it can be easy to replace the internal battery if companies make it that way, but they're not. I'm all about good legislation until it actually starts. When you start telling companies they can or cannot design a product a certain way, that's where I'm like, all right, because there's a difference. This isn't right to repair at this point. Right to repair is all about getting schematics and making companies actually offer the parts and serializing things and then having access to software to where you're not getting locked out of something you paid for. That's what Right to Repair is about. Right to Repair is not making a company change a lot about their phone just so it can be easier. I do like the fact that he brought up the market thing, because that is true. The market probably did not necessarily say it, but at the same time, people didn't debate it either when it started happening, because most people really didn't care. Only power users, even back then when people had a removable battery, only power users carried an extra battery with them to, slap another one in there. You didn't see an average person really doing that, which is something he doesn't bring up and I find interesting, because really, back when I had the S4, S5, when you had a removable battery, I haven't ever seen I've never seen someone do that carry an extra battery, except for people who are power users. But the average person, I've never seen do it. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but it's not a big enough group, And I would love to hear your guys' opinion in the comments if there's any. Realistically, there probably would be nobody watching this, but if there is, I'd like to hear your opinion and why you think that way, Hopefully, I'm probably not making any sense at all because I suck at explaining. Sorry. But I like hearing people's point of views and why they disagree. I'm all about that. I just hate when people no, don't tell you actually why, and they're just not being good. It's like sportsmanship. You just go in the comments, you go, hey, I disagree with you because this is why I think this way. And we can agree to disagree. Or I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I see that, People have a issue with that now. I'm not attacking you. And anyone who doesn't agree with this, I'm not attacking you. Please don't look at it that way. I'm just explaining why I look at it this way. But yeah, so the consumer's going to have to pay more money because somebody's got to pay for the design change and hiring designers, different press, manufacturing issues. Somebody's going to have to pay for it, and it's going to be the consumer. And that's one of the issues. And then we've got water resistance, which goes back into the design. And really, I'm not for forcing a company to completely redesign their phone, because there's other issues with that. The reason why a lot of them went internally is because they can actually save a little bit of room by having internal batteries. Because when you make it to where they have to have a removable back, it actually takes up more space, and that's room that could have been used for extra horsepower or more RAM, stuff like that. So there's a lot of pros to having an internal battery as to a removable battery. I will say it will be interesting to play out. And I could be wrong, maybe it won't be as expensive, but for a company to just change all of a sudden, it would be pretty difficult, because I don't think a lot of people realize how fast everything's really moving. So it'd be hard, because you would have to just stop and then just change everything. And so that's why I don't agree with this, because you're changing the way the company, you're actually changing the way the product is. They can't, at that point, can they even really do anything with their own product? I help with business, my uncle's business, and I have my own small business. If I make my own product, who's really making it? That also draws away from creativity that can be done from companies. Not all companies are bad. I want to get that out there. I used to have that mindset, and it's a bad mindset to be in. Not all companies are a-holes, all right? Some of them are good, or try to do good. So I just want to get that out there. When you start, that's a boundary that's overstepping, because that's not what Right to Repair is. And that's not what we should want. Yes, that makes it easier for us, but if you're a business owner who wanted to just make any product that had anything with a movable battery, that would be awful, because that makes it harder on you, the business owner. And this is why I'm kind of interested, because he is a business owner. Lewis has his own business. While he's not making his own products, I would have thought he would have seen something through that lens, through the perspective of owning a business. And he doesn't, which is interesting. But at that point, it's not really them designing their own phone. So they're pretty limited to what they can put in it, because it takes more room to have a removable battery. So people are going to have to make compromises. I'm not saying it's bad, but this is something I want people to think about. That's pretty much all. I think I repeated myself a little bit, but I told you guys I'm bad at explaining, so I hope this made somewhat sense. And yeah, peace.